Let's get started with Prigozhin. It says 6 passengers dead and had 6 photos. I can't help it. Listen. Claims another plane has landed in Moscow, which also listed Prigozhin as a passenger. We shall know soon enough if he's on this plane instead. Update. Russian rescuers discovered bodies of 8 individuals at the crash site. The bodies were badly burnt, requiring DNA testing for identification. Despite Prigozhin's death not being officially confirmed, his wife reported that he wasn't on the plane and is okay. However, this information has not yet been verified. Here it is. Wagner chief Prigozhin has died along with 10 other passengers. All of the information that you're going to see coming out of this right now is going to be fake. Okay? Pretty much all the info that you will hear is going to be fake, full of like phony, nonsensical bullshit. Oh, there is a playlist. Okay, I mean, I guess we'll just start off with this. Yevgeniy Prigozhin listed among passengers of crash plane, Russian state media reports. Let's take a look.
This breaking news just into CNN. That is the Wagner mercenary group chief, Yevgeniy Prigozhin, has been listed among passengers on board a plane that crashed just north of Moscow. This, according to Russian state media. You may remember that Prigozhin and his Wagner group led an attempted mutiny coup against the Russian president 2 months ago to the day on June 23rd. He made his way close to Moscow before turning around.
I love when people say, like, official TV channel Russian 24 confirms this. Yeah, man. You know how we always talk about mainstream media is fake, okay? Or usually has, like, a very obvious thing that they're pushing for. You know what I mean? You know how we say that? Now double that when you're doing state propaganda directly from a state channel. Understand that, like, it does not matter. I don't even trust CNN. Why the fuck would I trust Russian state media? Okay? They very openly have their own goals and a desired purpose that they're not even hiding when they cover the news. He could be dead, for the record, but you have to be a little bit more critical when you hear about this kind of stuff. And I am by no way saying, like, oh my God, Russian state media is like the fakest and American media, on the other hand, is the realest. It's like, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that American media, when they correspond to the State Department's interests, material interests, will always act in unison and will say, will oftentimes, do similar styles of propaganda to the Russian state media. So just remember that.
And now 2 months later, CNN is reporting that the chief listed among those on the path.
We all know your ride or die state media is shiny state media. No, I like state media from every country because state media is at least honest about propagandizing their perspective. And therefore, usually in most circumstances, it's pretty cut and dry. You know exactly what they want to do. You know exactly why they're saying certain things. And that is very instructive in understanding what may or may not have happened, but more importantly, what their motivations are. Okay? However, with Russian state media, it's a little bit different because Russian state media is so Western focused, because there's 2 different kinds of state media usually. The state media that you see in domestic issues, and like you hear the state's motivation in like propagandizing certain aspects, but then you hear state media that is Western focused, and in Russia's instance, they will literally hit every avenue. They will hit every angle. It's a classic, advocate for both sides so you always come out on top bullshit. Or if you look at Russia Today, for example, you'll see one news hour where you have like like a rugged anti-imperialist socialist guy talking about BRICS from a socialist perspective or whatever, and then next up is the anti-trans, like the transphobia, we should murder trans people power hour, like immediately afterwards, where they're like, it's so good that America has no gun control. Isn't that wonderful? And Putin is defending America's interests as well, and defending the white working class from these psychotic Jewish pedophiles or whatever. And you're like, what the fuck happened? Like, how did this? Like, how? Like, there's no consistency in the propaganda that they put out there, so it's a little bit more confusing. Okay, here.
Passengers of this plane that crashed north of Moscow. Our Fred Pleitkin covers Russia extensively for us. He joins us now from Berlin. Fred, I don't need to say that this is shocking news. It comes just 2 months after this attempted coup. Prigozhin had enormous power inside Russia as head of the Wagner military group. Tell me what you're hearing about this and the significance.
Hi there, Jim. And obviously, we are still in the very early stages of this, but you're absolutely right. Could be potentially huge news with Yevgeniy Prigozhin on that passenger list. We are hearing some of this from Russian state media, some of it also from the Russian Federal Aviation Administration. I want to read you some of what Russian media is quoting from the Federal Russian Aviation Administration. They're saying, quote, an investigation.
I don't get it. Why do people care about a hot dog merchant this much? What's going on? Guy who has no idea what Prigozhin did except for like the old Prigozhin. You know what I mean? It's like, what do you mean? I don't get it. He's like my favorite caterer. What's happening? It's really, really sad. Really sad what happened to my favorite hot dog caterer. Actually, he was popping off with those beefs.
Has been launched into the crash of the Embraer aircraft, which occurred tonight in the Tver region. That's a region that's sort of north of Moscow, south of St. Petersburg. We, of course, know that Yevgeniy Prigozhin has essentially his headquarters in St. Petersburg, even though large parts of his organization have moved to Belarus. In the Tver region, according to the list of passengers, among them is the surname of Yevgeniy Prigozhin, it says. There we're also hearing that possibly 10 people in total were on board that aircraft, that aircraft is an Embraer 160, an aircraft.
I'm sorry. Obama kills his chef after having a gay affair in Martha's Vineyard. It's not even in the news cycle for a day. Vladimir Putin kills his chef. It's in the news cycle for the month. Sweaty, I'm seeing a difference here, okay? Think about that. Great take on this. Staying in the country where you tried performing a coup through Telegram and then flying in your easily identified plane jet isn't the smartest thing, but I really admire the confidence. If more of our young men were like Prigozhin, they would have girlfriends. I might tweet the Obama chef thing. What does it mean for Russia? Why are people saying no shot when the plane was shot? Are they stupid? I mean, I think it's like wild how fucking stupid it would be if he legitimately thought that, you know, Vladimir Putin wasn't going to execute him. I mean, I said, I'm going to just reply to Felix because I'm a pussy. I don't want to say it on my main. Okay. God, I can't even get through this. My ADHD is killing me right now.
Aircraft like that owned by Yevgeniy Prigozhin's company, by Yevgeniy Prigozhin himself. So possibly this could be very big news, as the Russians are treating this very much as possibly Yevgeniy Prigozhin being on that aircraft. Obviously, right now, his whereabouts very much unknown. One of the things that's really interesting about this is that we do know that Yevgeniy Prigozhin was traveling abroad, Jim. We do know that he was in Africa at least a couple of days ago. There was a video that he released saying that his forces, his Wagner forces, were now working in Africa, that it was very hot there, but he was on the ground there as well, claiming that those forces were fighting against ISIS. Of course, as you very...
I guess Putin is not the based anti-ECOWAS guy we thought he was, because the Wagner forces in Africa are liberators, okay? They're liberating these African countries by, getting mineral contracts themselves rather than allowing America to get them, which is the based anti-imperialist thing to do, okay? And Putin killing the main guy that's helping that, the main guy that's helping that happen, kind of fucked up. Sweaty. I'm just saying, maybe, hello, base department. Seems like Vladimir Putin is not doing a good job with liberating Africa. You know they're going to clip your ass out of context on this. Why are you pushing it? Dude, because I don't care. Like, if people can fucking get mad at me all they want. Like, I'm being sarcastic, okay? And I'm sick and tired of motherfuckers who are just, like, permanently brain broken and can't comprehend. They always clip. It doesn't matter. They always clip. It doesn't matter. I will keep making jokes. I don't give a shit. I'm not going to, like, cater and reshape my content and commentary off of, like, what bad faith dumbasses are going to say and do. It's always funny because, like, every single extremely online community I've duked it out with. So I have the most unique and most diverse background of haters. What I mean by that is, like, I have the NATO Andes who fucking despise me and hate my guts. I have the psychotic right-wingers who hate my guts. I have the radlibs who are the radfems and radlibs who are like anti-sex work and anti-trans who fucking hate my guts. So they always get together, and whenever there's a clip chimp opportunity, they get together and they get eating. Like, I unite them. Certain aspects of Black Twitter, specifically the Barbs, they love that shit too. It's a diverse crowd of haters. I've also seen tanks that hate you, yeah, because they're fucking anti-sex work. Who cares?
Correctly stated, Yevgeniy Prigozhin started that mutiny on June 24th, about 2 months ago. which failed, which was then called back. Obviously, a big threat to Vladimir Putin, and there were many people who were wondering about Yevgeny.
Anyway, but this is not about me. This is about a caterer, my favorite caterer, a man who is most famous for making hot dogs and nothing else, really. Has he done anything else since then? I just thought that he was like he was a competitive hot dog maker, Yevgeniy Prigozhin. I sure hope he hasn't done anything since then, you know?
Prigozhin's safety and whether or not there could be payback from Vladimir Putin or from the Russian security services. Again, still very much unclear what exactly is going on, what exactly happened there, but certainly this potentially could be very, very big news coming out of Russia, Jim.
That's right. You mentioned that video from 2 days ago. I believe we were playing just a clip of it. We could play it again, in which he spoke about Wagner's exploits in Africa as making, in his words, Africa freer. We should note Prigozhin's Wagner group is operated as really a private military for the Russian President Vladimir Putin. Prigozhin close to the Russian president. He was known for a time as Putin's chef, although his role much greater than that. He also played a role.
Cat turd dude's fate was sealed when he turned on Putin. Russian dissident Yevgeniy Prigozhin reported dead after a plane crash outside of Moscow. Like, this is, we talked about this before. This is like the far right that just like glazes Vladimir Putin and Russia, which is always funny because it's like, it's un-American to love Russia this much. It's already un-American to like care about another country in general, right? But it's especially un-American to care this much about Russia. You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing? What are you doing, cat turd? Why do you give a shit? Why do you give a shit about this that much? Like, what's happening? Aren't you supposed to fucking hate Russia because, like, they're communists or whatever? The USSR, remember? Cat Third sits there typing with his old man legs crossed like a grandma, and you can see all his veins like he has cave shrimp skin, and he has had a coffee that's 6 sugars. His heart is about to give out after he blasts off on a fucking fire tweet every single time. Hogs that were anti-Russian in the 80s Reagan days are literally Putin MAGA useful idiots now. It's just like, you're such a mark, okay? Like, I'm sorry, listen. Maybe I'm too much of an American, but like, I don't give a fuck, okay? I care about the Russian people, but I don't give a fuck about the Russian government, and I do not give a fuck about Vladimir Putin. If you have an opinion that is favorable of the Russian government, especially if you're living in the United States of America, when like half a century of Red Scare propaganda has taken hold, it's that easy to turn you. Like a couple fucking Telegraph messages or a couple WhatsApp messages that were like perfectly timed, and you immediately flipped. You're like, oh no, this guy is actually based and a defender of the white race. Like, you're so stupid. If anything, it just shows me that you are the biggest mark, okay? You are the biggest fucking mark. Doesn't matter if you're like a MAGA communist, patriotic socialist, or whatever the fuck these idiots call themselves. It doesn't matter if you are, this regular old small business tyrant. You are a complete fucking mark, a rube, a sucker, okay? And it's like, you are weirdly a sucker that is a larger sucker than some of the rest of the Republican Party, somehow. It happened 2008 to 2016. Fox News kept showing Putin as a manly world leader in the Obama era, and boomers remember that shit. Have you seen the plane crash video? Plane looks like it lost its entire tail section. It was falling vertically, very sus. Yeah, it got shot with an anti-aircraft gun, I'm pretty sure. What do you mean it was very sus? Like, hey, plane expert here. Hey, plane expert here. Planes actually only do that when they're in extreme distress. This is not funny. It's very... just saw the footage. I think that plane is going to crash.
In the 2016 Russian interference in the U.S. election, leading the group that helped interfere and spread false news here in the U.S. And to Fred's point, you cannot mention today's events as Russian state media reporting that he was on the list of passengers of this plane that went down. You cannot mention those events without mentioning events from 2 months ago when Prigozhin was the man who unsuccessfully led a coup against the Russian president, Vladimir Putin.
Yeah, and I think one of the big questions, obviously, at that time was, what is the fate going to be of Yevgeniy Prigozhin? And so there are going to be a lot of questions about, obviously, what has happened here.
Absolutely.
And about certainly how this is going to maybe affect the dynamics of a war that we are seeing fought in Ukraine by Russia. I do want to bring in Nick Payton-Walsh. He is there in Ukraine for us. Nick, this is quite a bombshell. that we are learning that Yevgeniy Prigozhin listed among these passengers on board this.
The only thing shocking about this story, if Prigozhin actually was in the plane, the only thing shocking about the story is like how long it took for Vladimir Putin to kill him. Like, this is the least surprising story. The only surprising component is that he wasn't immediately executed. Like, I don't get it. Like, it makes no fucking sense. Of course they were going to do that. 2 months didn't seem that long. Are you kidding me? No, it is absolutely so fucking long. What do you mean? No shot. Pudding Person, Juniper says, don't forget that Putin assassinated Prigozhin to distract us from all the Hunter Biden's massive cock. Don't lose sight on this. Matt Wallace, breaking news, 10 dead, including Wagner boss Yevgeniy Prigozhin in plane crash in Russia. This is the guy who the media said was about to overthrow Putin. What did he know about the Biden crime family? Dude, you have to be out of your fucking mind to think like this. There is no shot. Dude, this is awesome. Conservatives have given themselves mental illness, like unimaginable levels of mental illness. Dude, it's so fire. Maybe bro is just engagement maxing. Got to get those Elon bucks. I don't know. I don't know if it's like, is he still alive? If he's alive, this will officially be the most Looney Tunes-ass coup fallout of all time. A second plane owned by Prigozhin just landed at the Ostafyevo airport near Moscow. Wagner supporters are hoping that Prigozhin cheated death by boarding that plane instead. Okay, here's what I don't understand. If they fucking murked the other plane, it's over. It's Jover for him. Unless, you know, he pulls this shit, which, as you guys already know, he is a master of disguise, okay? Vladimir Putin's like, oh, niet. What is happening? I cannot believe it. He escaped my grasp one more time. Suka blyat. How is he doing it? How is he always able to escape? He is too good at disguises. MSNBC reported Putin go to Africa for some summit, and Putin did this because he was mad he couldn't go. First of all, that is not the reason why Putin did this. And the only reason why Putin couldn't go to the South African summit is because there's an extradition treaty, despite the fact that South Africa is also, it's like a BRICS summit that's happening. So he's just attending via webcam or whatever. I don't even think he would go anyway. Who gives a shit? Oh my God, someone said he looks like Carter. Why you gotta do that to him, dude? That's kind of fucked up. He looks like if Carter went to the beach that made him old. Yeah, I will not stand for this slander. Carter is a beautiful boy, okay? How dare you guys? Bottom right is Islamist Ryan Grimm. He does have the Ryan Grimm cut. No one expected Prigozhin's newest disguise. Oh, Jesus Christ. I fucking love this photo, man. I do. I love this photo. Okay. Let's continue.
This plane that has crashed north of Moscow.
Yeah, it's important to remind people, though, that him being on the list of passengers doesn't automatically equate to him having been on that plane. It does appear from the images we're seeing and the reports we're hearing from Russian state media that those on board have indeed perished. Remember, Russian state media is not Yevgeniy Prigozhin's friend, frankly, at the moment. He's the man who led that unsuccessful coup and then disappeared for a number of days, and it's fair to say he's a man who's good at hiding his whereabouts. The fact he's listed on this very rare aircraft, you don't see many of them flying around, frankly, Russia at all, doesn't immediately suggest that he had to have been on the aircraft, though we are dealing with an extraordinary moment potentially, which is the question that so many had asked: how does this man, Yevgeniy Prigozhin, who appeared to have led that coup and then changed his mind radically on the way to Moscow, how did he stay alive this long? Though those who've even half upset Vladimir Putin as much in the past have met a grisly end, fallen from windows, some critics, some poisoned as well. Prigozhin essentially led...
How do you go about your day-to-day after trying to do a coup, failing, and then thinking that Vladimir Putin is not going to fucking kill you? Like, I don't get it. Oh my God, they're calling him a dissident. No shot. Russian dissident. No, this is this guy is making a joke. That Max Sedan is making a joke about New York Post. For the record, he actually has like a pretty decent coverage on what happens in Russia. He's making a joke about New York Post calling him a Russian dissident, which is, of course, the fucking New York Post. So of course they're gonna call him a Russian dissident. Yeah, man. He was a dissident, dude. Yeah. He was our guy.